I'm scrambling tonight, my friends. We'll see how this all goes. Made a little dinner this evening. It was wonderful. But the potatoes took longer to cook than I expected, so I am way behind. Which, you know, as my good friend once said, sometimes a total lack of preparation is just enough. We'll see how that goes tonight. Hey, look at that. I'm on. Comments are up. 307. What else do I need to do? Well, I guess it is what it is. Now we need to turn off this. Okay, that is off. Hello, Sharon. How are you? How's the sound this evening? Is it working? Getting all that feedback or staticky stuff? Looks like I got some trouble over here. Well, that just looks like crap. Making you dizzy yet? Well, that's not what I want. Well, as good as it's gonna get. Ooh, a minute and 47. I didn't cut that close at all, did I? All right, shake it off, my friends. I'm crooked. Yeah. It is wonderful, Miguel. Thank you, my friend. I think I'll quit messing with that. Minute 20. Boom. All right. Look at that. All right. Well, see how this all turns out. Yeah, a very interesting show tonight. Stand up straight. Check battery, check internet. Well, internet is what it is. Hello, Zig. I must not be breaking up, or you guys would tell me. One clock says 6 o'clock, the other one says 5:59. It's time to go. Oh no, that one's not going to turn off. Uh-oh. Dun, dun, dun. Well, hello, Facebook and all the world. How are you? I'm David R. Day. I call these cute little ditties a day's life. Tonight, we're going to talk about anxiety. I'm going to show you my amazing loaf of bread. I'm going to change the lights here a little. I'm going to show you an amazing loaf of bread that I personally created to deal with some anxiety that I've been having. And I'm going to show you and invite you to my show that's coming up July 7th. So, anxiety. As it often goes with these shows, I do some research based on what's going on in my life. And I got to tell you, it has been a very, very stressful week. We had actual bona fide SS marked tattooed Nazis strolling through Capitol Boulevard in Boise, Idaho with AK-47s. the block from where I have my coffee. It's my city hall. It's my city of Boise. I can remember when that sort of thing just didn't happen, and I got to admit that it caused me some great stress. Not only that, my wife and I were both primarily exposed to someone who had the corona or may very well, who had to be tested at least for coronavirus. Fortunately, the person who I was close to, as it turned out, tested negative. Personally, I saw him. I do not think it was negative. I think it was a positive. But Belinda's trainer at her gym tested positive. You can imagine that started the week off right on Tuesday with some stress. And and it looks like with this increased COVID that it's going to be maybe next year till we get to see any concerts or I get to do any real art shows. My income from those sort of things has dropped. I don't think we're going to have a city market. I'm stressed. The anxiety is pretty great. I also had a sad post from one of my friend's daughters. My friend Dave John, he's a great drummer. He happens to be half African American. His daughter is obviously too. She walked from the North End to a Black Lives Matter rally, and a pickup truck followed her down the street yelling the N-word at her, and it just breaks my heart because that is not the Idaho I know. That's not the Boise I know. It caused me a great deal of stress. I may address that at a different occasion, but I'm not going to do that tonight because I kind of really want these, especially the Friday night ones, I want them to be positive. So if you have all this anxiety built up in you, what can you do? I mean, how are you going to deal with that? There's not really much I can do about any of the external factors. I certainly can't deal with the coronavirus. I can speak out against the hate, but I can't personally make that man with the SS tattoos go away. I can't make him change those. There's not a whole lot I can do. So what do we do? Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about what causes stress. One of the things that causes stress is unpredictability. We have no idea what's going to happen with the COVID virus or anything else. It's just crazy. We do not have a clear sense of what's going to happen next. Most of us thought that we were kind of getting things down and things were going to get back to something close to normal. Didn't happen. 120,000 deaths in America. We're rapidly hitting close to 100 in Boise. We don't know what's going to go on. And the other thing that causes the anxiety is we have total lack of control. We know what we can do personally. We can encourage our friends to do things. But personally, inside, right now, you and I, there's not a whole hell of a lot we can do. The other thing is these are threats to people that we value, to ourselves, to our friends. This friend who is very sick still. I cared for him. In fact, I made him dinner a couple nights ago, him and his son. A wonderful thing. But what can you do about this sort of this stress that's causing you? Well, the first thing you can do is analyze the threat. What is it that you are directly worried about? So let's take the coronavirus, for example. I really have no idea. The likelihood of me personally getting sick is not very great, even with this exposure. Probably with the exposure, it's somewhere in the 5 or 6% range. The chances of me getting full-blown coronavirus is less than that, and the chance of me dying is really statistically very little. When I think about that, it makes me feel better. I can deal with that amount of stress, that amount of anxiety. It reduces my anxiety by actually looking at the numbers. Belinda, unfortunately, my lovely wife, is a little more likely to be sick. She wasn't wearing a mask. She had more direct contact. And, of course, that makes me nervous. But, again, the actual threat of my wife being long-term damaged is pretty slim. So why am I so stressed about it? Like I said, I don't have any control, and that makes me stressed. My dad had a great saying. He said, I don't mind the odds. I don't even mind the bet. But I don't like the stakes. The stakes are high in this COVID thing. Just for some interesting... What do you think you are more likely to die of? Being attacked by a dog, lightning, or sunstroke? I'll tell you what. What do you think? Sunstroke, attacked by a dog, or lightning? Sunstroke. you're more likely to die of sunstroke. And even at that, you only have a 1 in 8,000 chance. Being struck by lightning, 1 in 180,000 chance of dying from lightning. That is interesting. We don't worry much about the sun, do we, when we're out there? But we're more likely to die of sunstroke by a lot than we are attacked by a dog or killed by a sunstroke. See, Ren's smart. I bet he Googled it, but he's still smart. So what can you do if you're doing that? The first thing you can do is you can limit your exposure. I don't just mean the risky behavior like going out in the sun or standing next to a rabid dog. I mean your exposure to the information that you're getting from the threat. You don't have to Google the coronavirus death toll every single day like some people I know. I'm going to quit that because it's making me stressful. I know every day what's happened in Idaho in terms of that. I also look at how Trump's doing in the polls every day. You don't have to do that. You can avoid the negative BS. It's pretty hard to do on Facebook, so maybe you need to avoid Facebook altogether, except for my occasional lives. You need to figure out a way to be as positive as possible. Be around positive people. That's good. Do fun stuff. I personally bake bread, and I'm going to show it to you later. Are these real physical threats? Well, obviously COVID is a real threat, but is it a real threat to me? Really, even with exposure, it's not a particularly huge threat. There are things that are far more threatening. I'm far more likely to die in a car wreck. In fact, I wasn't paying attention and almost ran a red light today, and I might not very well. In fact, I probably wouldn't have been here because the cars were coming the other way pretty hard. You got to be aware of the level of threat in how you're dealing with that stress. How about those threats that are not necessarily directly physical? How about the threat of embarrassment, the threat of making a fool of yourself, the threat of making a mistake, the threat of screwing up somehow? So here's what I want you to do. I call this flipping the script or analyze it. Think of something that you were embarrassed about 6 months ago, really embarrassed. Can you even think of something? There's my point. So sometimes we create anxiety in ourselves over things that don't really matter. In fact, we often do. Saying the wrong things, doing the wrong thing. We often do that, and it's not really that big a deal. The other thing is physical. What can you do? So you're going to know, because I've said this a lot, the best thing you can do, get some exercise. Get out, walk the dog, take a hike, find some wild horses to chase, whatever. What's your diet? Caffeine and sugar are killers when it comes to anxiety because they increase our adrenaline levels. They kick in all sorts of crazy hormones and that sort of thing. So if you can watch your diet, that will certainly help you lower your stress level. I've been cutting back on my caffeine. I've cut way back on sugar. Although my wife bought me chocolate tonight. I think she really wants me to. Oh my God. I gotta take a break and look at this. So, our class clown has wandered in with his dog. I'll just let you read that while I go on here. So the other thing you can do, besides rearranging how you're thinking about the stress and the anxiety, is distract yourself. And I do that. You gotta think about it. Let's think about how wonderful our 4th of July is. Wow, how cool is that? 4th of July. We had a friend who complains because we call it the 4th of July. We really should call it Independence Day, which is great. This was taken, and they're probably not going to do it this year, but most years on Flag Day, they line up the flags in front of the Capitol. Do you know that Idaho was born on the 3rd of July? There you go. Yeah, I think that's amazing. Concentrate on the sort of things that you can do. The other thing I did, well, I made bread tonight. I was so freaked out earlier this afternoon after reading about all this craziness, all this negativity and Nazis walking down my street. I just almost couldn't deal with it. So I settled down, I thought about it. What can I do? Well, I made bread and it was absolutely wonderful. It's the best loaf I've made so far. I don't know if you know a whole lot. I don't know if you know a whole lot about bread, but getting that tight structure in there It's hard, really hard. I actually had to knead it, so. Miguel, it's absolutely fine. I was getting a little serious there, so I probably needed a break, and I appreciate you for that. Absolutely not a problem. So, there you go. What can you do? Think about your anxiety. Analyze the actual threat, how big it is, whether it's an actual threat or a physical threat or a threat to yourself, or maybe something less tangible, like being afraid to start or to finish or to make a mistake. Think about those. Oftentimes when we do that, we find that the threat's really not as big as we actually thought. And even if it is, there's maybe not a whole hell of a lot we can do about it, so there doesn't do a whole lot of good to stress it over. So I also want to talk about a couple of my friends. You have often heard me talk about Millie Hilgert, from who owns Repop. She had an amazing week. One of her, she took a photograph of one of her signs, and it went viral. Kristen Bell covered it. It was just amazing. She forgot to put her name or her story on it, but it was really killer. But the reason I want to talk about Millie is not just because of her success, is because she's doing what's right. Before the city required masks, she made the people who come into her store wear a mask. And that was a huge problem, because there were people, she lost money because people were not, because people were not willing. There it is, there's her sign. Oh wow, there's two of me. Wow. Don't have any idea why that's happened. Fascinating. Well, the wonderfulness revolves. So Millie required mask, and she lost money, and people vandalized her store, and it took some real courage, and I greatly appreciate it. The other person I want to talk about, and a few of you on here know, in fact, I hadn't thought about that. One of you knows her better than most. My friend Monica Tway, she owns the yacht club in McCall. Now, if you've ever been to the yacht club, you know it's right on the lake. It's probably the biggest and most amazing dance club, fun club in McCall. McCall has seen a huge surge in COVID-19 cases, and even though it is the week that she would make the most money, Monica decided that she would close her bar for the week of 4th of July. I know that she's been looking very, very long to have this week where the 4th of July is on a Saturday so people can get up there, but because of her employees and her customers, she decided to close for the entire week. I can't imagine what that's going to cost it. That is the sort of bravery that it's going to take to kill this crazy damn COVID virus. And I greatly admire those two women. And how amazing is it that they're willing to lose personal funds? They're going to break into their own piggy banks, piss off customers, so they have the opportunity to help us, the rest of us. So that means that at the very least, us silly folks should be able to wear a mask. All right. Isn't that amazing? Ziggy says that she loves Monica, and don't we all? She's a good woman, and I really am very proud. So those of you who are around Boise, Zig, it's a long drive, but I hope you can make it. I have a gallery opening on July 7th. It will be from 4:30 to 7. It's at the Initial Point Gallery in Meridian City Hall. I'm going to get there a little early. I'm going to get there about 4 o'clock, so if anybody wants to come by a little early, I'm going to be there. Thank you all. This has been a little disjointed, but I think it's been fun. I didn't show you probably enough pretty pictures, so let's go to this one. Did I show this one? Hey, what's happening? Where am I? Well, you don't get to see this one. Come back to me again. That's just as well. So my friend Millie, who is often on this broadcast, gave me a mask for some of the stuff I've helped her. I'm going to end with this. All right. I hope you all get a chance to be safe. Okay, you don't get a chance. I hope you make yourself safe. I hope you deal with your anxiety. And I hope you come back next week at 6 o'clock. David a day. We call these a day's life. And if I can find all the right buttons, I'm gonna get out of here. And guess what? Don't be a dick.